Good morning, traders. Today is Wednesday, December 1st. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. The Pirate Traders live stream. All right. Well, I want to start today zoomed out on the monthly, just to give us a little bit of perspective. We had a giant wick that we left behind on the monthly candle when we closed it yesterday. And, a lot of times when we leave those big wicks, we get a bit of a pullback. This time we didn't here, so it doesn't mean we have to. But it is something to note there with the wick. And then we'll just quickly look at the daily. So once again, we don't get too caught up with this overnight inventory, which was net long. And remember that on the daily, the market is still trending down. Okay. We got that good, strong support on the 50 moving average beneath us. But at the moment, the market is still trending down on the daily. That being said, overnight inventory net long. Okay, so it got us above the spike that we left for yesterday. A spike down is a potentially bearish signal to get, particularly if you open inside the spike or below it. We had one over here this day. We had a spike down, and then the overnight pushed up higher, and then look what happened the next day. The market traded higher. So that's very, very similar to what we're seeing here. So I would say the spike down, opening this far above it is the least bearish scenario. Overnight inventory is net long, so we would expect when the market opens here in a minute, that we're going to get a counter auction to the downside. Okay, a counter auction to the downside would just be absorbing that push higher that the market did. A majority of the overnight traders will be long. So as they take profits on their trades, essentially if the market doesn't open and immediately start trading up, they'll take profits. And so you get a bit of a counter auction to the downside. I do expect we'll get some chop this morning as we are opening inside the yesterday's range. And there's just a lot of uncertainty in the market today. And the market is open. We have such wide ranges here, it's really hard to pick out specific support and resistance. But again, just look for the areas where there's a lot of volume and time that's been spent. So potentially a little bit of support in here, but more likely we got to trade down into that node from yesterday. So we are getting that counter auction to the downside. So now we're looking for where does it find support. The higher it finds support, the sooner it finds support, the more bullish. If it continues to sell off, it gets more and more bearish as it continues lower. Okay, internals opening very bullish as to be expected with that overnight inventory being long. So we have to give those a few minutes to kind of settle in before they'll give us a clear signal. Technically, those single prints were actually backfilled by the overnight since we opened above them. But we might find some support around the base there. That was also where the half back from yesterday was. So that's, somewhere between 4603 and 4600. If you're thinking about going short, it's worth remembering that counter auction can reverse very quickly, and we can get chop, where the market just grinds around. So it's best to just kind of, at least the way I trade, it's best to just kind of sit back and wait until there's more certainty about what the market's trying to do. Just enjoy the show, as they say. Rad, good morning to you. Kajak's back with us. Good morning. David Glass, good to see you. Welcome. The SS Cryptocurrent is back with us. Good to see you. Scooball, hello to you. Nicholas, good morning. Philip, good morning. Jay, good morning. R, good morning. John, good morning to you. S&P Attic, good to see you. Welcome. Sanju, good morning to you. Jose, good to see you. And back with us, good morning. J Trader, another day, another dollar. That's how it goes. That is how it goes. Lahab is short. I don't know when you wrote that, but so far, good call. Fausto, good morning to you. Stephen, welcome. Good morning. Design Knob in the house. Good morning to you. Bob, good morning. Good to see you. Oh, it's K-Jax. I'm saying it wrong. See, now that you've corrected me, I'll forget and I'll look like a fool because I'll keep calling you K-Jax. K-Jax. Cool. I'll try to remember that. Followed with the name I can never say. Solipitists. Slisps. Solpistus lists. Good morning to you. Welcome. Was Simming caught that huge move, S&P Attic? Oh, so you mean you just didn't get any real money for it? Bummer. Phoenix, howdy to you. Adventure DJ, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Mark, good to see you. Sid Wayne, good morning to you. Juan, good morning. Trading Donkey, bueno. Charles, when you post recording yesterday, 11:30, I want to get something from there. It should be on the YouTube. Just click on like the Pirate Traders page and then click on like, recent uploads. It should be the one before this one. Okay, feels like we're still absorbing that overnight activity. Doesn't feel like new buyers are stepping in yet. Jay, good morning to you. He says, today I truly don't know where this thing is going. I kind of feel the same. To me, as I said yesterday at the close, it really feels like the market needs to get down to that 50 daily moving average, simple moving average at the very least. But then I didn't expect this from the overnight. So this might get some traders bullish this morning. We'll have to wait and see what they got. Let's take a look at the NQ. Okay, so the overnight on the NQ did the same thing. NQ is kind of just developing a balancing area now that I'm looking at it. It doesn't look like it's selling off the way the ES does. Man, look at that. There is a crystal clear balancing area. Oh boy. I'm disappointed in myself I didn't recognize it sooner. This market is in balance. Look above and fail. Trades down to the opposite end. Finds support. Trades back up to the opposite end. Pushes back down. Doesn't quite make it to the low, but that's still almost the opposite end of balance. So now they're heading back up. Very, very interesting. Not as clean as the bouncing areas we generally get on the ES, where it bounces from one end to the other in like a day or two. But it is bouncing. So getting above yesterday's high would be bullish for continuation. And getting below the low from the 25th would be bearish for continuation lower. But as far as intraday, same as the ES, counter auction to the downside, that's currently finding support. Roberto, hello to you. Salmon River says he loves the swings from plus 2,000 to negative 2,000 to plus 2,000 on the advancers versus decliners. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the regular ad, but yeah, it's crazy. So much indecision. Yep, negative 2,000 plus 2,000. That's great. Oh, the difference a night can make. No, Kajax. I'm going to keep calling you Kajax. We're not upgrading you to Kevin. I don't care if that's your real name. You're Kajax until the day you die now. That's your pirate name. S&P Addict, I never know where it's going, but I still trade it. Well, hopefully you know on a very short-term basis where you think it's going to go. Otherwise, you are what they would call a gambler. Oh, Tom, in Website Archive? No, I didn't do a private stream yesterday. I just did a public stream, so it's on the public YouTube. Nunez, did I place trades yesterday? Yeah, of course I did. Design knob, does anybody ever really know where it's going? I do, sometimes. Like, and what I mean by that is obviously I never know where it's going to go. Like, I'm never certain. It's random. Anything could happen. But I'm saying some mornings I wake up and I look at the chart and I have a feeling of like yesterday. Go back and watch the first 5 minutes. Literally, I opened and I said, this is bearish to me. I think we're going down. Now, it faked me out first thing in the morning with that push higher into the C period, but then it went right where I thought it was going to go. So there are days where you can have a decent idea of what you think is going to happen. And then there are days where you're just like, it could go either way. I don't know. And this is one of those days. Trading Donkey saying that downtrend is intact. He's saying these overnight traders are wrong. And they're going to get slapped in the face for it. Joe Park, last day in India. Well, enjoy it, brother. Ah, my friend from Belarus, back on his home computer. Good morning to you. I don't know if we did on the monthly get cessation. Black Cat, let me look. Yeah, I mean, we had the previous month was an engulfing month. So yeah, we've had cessation for a couple months actually. But I hear you. If they get below yesterday's low, it's going down to that 50 daily, no doubt. But so far, so good. Buyers are starting to step in, so we don't need to go there just yet this morning. They want to have some chop before they decide. Kevin, please no. Nope, pirate name. It's official. Put it on your tombstone. David V, good morning to you. Wait, Daddy's not speaking again today, is he? Papa Pal? Can't be. Mediterra feeling a little bullish this morning. May test 42 or higher. Yeah, I mean, if they get above that overnight high, they'll push it. They'll give it a push. They'll all be scared they missed the dip to buy. So let's see what happens. Harry Pete, good support here. So far, so good. I mean, I still feel like it's just morning chop, right? So the push down was the overnight inventory taking profits. This is, U.S. traders starting to test the waters. But if they don't get anything for it, if they can't get the market higher here, they'll just exit their trades. It'll come back down. It'll chop back up. And we just get that classic morning chop. But if they can start to get something for it, get back above the opening and then get above the overnight high, then we'll know it was good, strong support. I'm just not convinced quite yet. Brian, good morning to you. JG with the GM, welcome. Manila Madness saying it's a rest day, just going to go rotational. That would make more sense to me. Rotation would make more sense to me on the NQ than it would on the ES. But like I said, I feel like the ES is, obviously there's the potential. We start to trade higher this morning, and then, traders have to go long because they missed their chance down here. But I still think it wants to pull back down to the 50. I just think that there's some bigger players waiting for that. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. But if we just zoom back here and we look at the daily, most of the time when the 20 breaks and it doesn't immediately pull back up the next day, it heads down to the 50. 20 breaks, doesn't quite get back up, comes back down to the 50, back to the 50, back to the 50, 50, 50, 50. I mean, you can just see 50. So just experience has told me that they much prefer to buy down here than buying halfway between the 20 and the 50. But I would never say never. Okay, tick's starting to trend down. If we break through this support we built up here around 46.10 this morning, or 46.11.25, if we start to break through that, we're probably looking for a larger pullback down into yesterday's value. So that would be a little bearish to see. Father Pal. Wait, Father Pal sounds religious. I'm not sure I like that one. Papa Pal I could live with. Zeb 46.87, very bullish. Dropping the old link in the description for anybody that wants to watch Pal speak. Man, I almost think I have to go into 2-tick increments just to find support here. So I would say if this node here breaks, next support is yesterday's halfback, but there's not much there. So probably this first node of volume down here, 45.90. It's the next major support. If this one breaks. Joe Park, there's a little clock right here on my screen. You can see it's 9:53 here in New York. Hey, I'm walking here. Hey. Trading Donkey, how you calling the West Coast the best coast and then moving right to the middle of the country? Square that round hole. But I will say, weather-wise, West Coast definitely the best coast. It's freaking cold in New York right now. La Habit already touched the SMA 50 yesterday. No, it didn't touch the 50 simple moving average. It touched the 50 exponential moving average, I believe. But that's not one I look at. Brian Papa Printer. Oh, that's great. Jay Trader, yeah, this is not only my first New York winter, it's my first winter living anywhere where it's like super cold. I've never lived anywhere it even snows. So I'm doing all right so far, but I hate it. But I can manage. What bothers me more than anything else is how everybody is like hyping me for how terrible it's going to be. Everyone who I say that to, I'm like, oh yeah, I've never lived anywhere it snows. They're like, okay, so just so you know, in January and February, it's going to be a nightmare. You're going to hate your life, but you'll get through, and it's beautiful for like a day or two after it snows. Like it's beautiful before everything turns to brown slush. It's great. Man, the chop continues this morning. And really trying to convince me to start trading those overnights, huh? Uh, all right. Well, it looks like they're trying to get up to that overnight high. They pulled back down into support, kept the ticks above the zero line. It's obviously new buyers stepping in. So let's see if they can get anything for it. Can they get above the open price? And then can they get above the overnight high? There's a lot of resistance for the NQ to work its way through. You can see on the cumulative volume here, it's right where the overnight met its resistance, pretty much making a 45-degree angle. So that's going to be a lot of work for the NQ to grind through that. But once it gets above, comes back down, finds support, it's a beautiful long trade. If they can do it, get on through it. Let's go back to the ES. All right, we've begun one time framing higher if you count one time framing in the B period. If not, we don't need to fight about it. It's fine. And you should stream overnight. I know, but then when do I sleep? This is the question. When do I rest my weary soul? Looking, feeling, smelling like $1,000,000. All right, so the next target for resistance is that overnight high. Pulling above that and then coming back in and finding support would be nice for continuation higher. Volume is getting thin here, so we're getting a little FOMO-y. We need to pull back down and find some support. Jack London, if they get it over the overnight high, am I bullish then? Yeah, so that's the first thing. That's the first signal that there's enough new buyers stepping in to get continuation. But now the question is, where do I enter the long trade, right? So what I want to see now that we've gotten above that overnight high, I want to see the market pull back down and put in support. So they're still just getting some short covering here, but like this level that only has 97 contracts. Maybe this one below that only has 200. I want to see the market pull back down into there and start turning some candles pink in this area. That's when I'm happy to go long with the trade. And like I said, the NQ is going to have a little bit of a harder time because of all this volume in here. They're going to have to kind of grind their way through to get up there. But that would be even further bullish, right? If the NQ got above and found support, then it's definitely full steam ahead. Scooball, thank you for smashing that like button. 115 people here, 41 likes. If you like the Pirates, smash the thumb. Or gently push it, Don't break your computer. Jack, how much one time framing is healthy? Do you mean how many single prints? Like how far can the market push up before it needs to pull back down? As far as one time framing, there's no amount that's unhealthy. As long as it keeps going, there's just more and more buyers stepping in, and you just want to stay with that direction. But single prints, the more of them that you create, the more you need to backfill. The higher the probability. Pal's shaking Fauci's hand right now. Hi, hi. How do you enjoy manipulating the world? Great. You too? Yeah, great, great. We're in charge of everything. Mediterra, I pushed it twice. I don't think it works right if you push it the second time. Trading Donkey, 35.50 is the downtrend line. Donkey's looking for that resistance. He doesn't trust these day traders. I suppose it kind of depends where you're drawing it from. There's that one. And then that one. Yeah, so you're obviously looking at this one here. All right, so we're starting to get those pink candles. So let's look at the ticks and see, is it support? Ooh, tough call. So for it to be support, they got to keep it above the zero line. But they're right on top of it. All right, it appears to be support. At least on the short term, I'm feeling a little bullish here. I'm going to lose that bullish feeling if we get back below the opening price. So that's getting back below 46.20. They're going to lose me. But until then, I think they want to push it. Nunez, is there a chapter in Markets in Profile about wild days like we had lately? No, I mean, it's not. It's really like what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is just understanding that as markets push higher, the volatility gets much higher, right? So, like a great example of this is like Bitcoin. Okay. Let's take a look at a Bitcoin chart. Let's actually zoom it out to like a weekly. So you could see, you know, earlier on when Bitcoin was at a much lower price level, the big crazy movements, the big swings and stuff weren't that many points, right? From a high to a low was $1,000. I mean, it was a very minor difference in terms of dollar value volatility. But you can see on the shape, I should actually put this in log. You can see the shape of it is exactly the same. When it pushes up, it gets overbought and it pulls back down. It just does the same exact thing again up in here. But from here to here is only like $1,000 difference, whereas from here to here is, you know, 20,000 to 5 is like $15,000 difference, right? So behaviorally, the market does the same things over and over again, but the higher it gets up on the axis, the more the volatility, like the price levels of the volatility is. So this is something I've begun to realize with the S&P is like when you go way back on the ES and you look at some of these older candles, it's like it seemed like the market had no volatility. It's like, man, look at this. Like, you know, this was the 2000 or no, this was like the two. Well, I'm not going to zoom out even more. This was the Trump election right here. But like, you know, this was major, insane, total uncertainty kind of volatility back then. And then look at what happens in COVID, right? Major, huge volatility. And so I don't really think the behavior of the market has changed. I just think the higher up on the axis we get, the larger the ranges become, where we just move much further up and down. Does that make sense? All right, looks like they're starting the Powell testimony. If anybody wants to watch that. Danielle, good morning to you. Welcome. Where is the 20 and 50? The 20 is above us, pretty much right around yesterday's high, which is where it found resistance yesterday. So that's 44 or 46.64. God, that's so hard for a dyslexic brain. 46.64. And the 50 is down there at 45.37. So far, it looks like we're not getting amazing volume this morning. Yeah, about average volume today. Well, Charles, what does that matter? Average volume? Why are you looking at volume? Who cares about volume? Well, it's just an idea that this is probably more just day traders taking their bets here, necessarily than the bigger players repositioning themselves. But we know day traders, when they get the momentum going for them, they can push it. So we don't want to fight them yet. Harry P, next SPY resistance, take profits? Sure. Nothing wrong with taking profits. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Or take partial profits. I'm not loving the way the ticks look. They look like they're getting heavy, like they want to pull back. So, of course, if those ticks start to get below the zero line, that would be bad. It would be a sign the momentum of the buyers is coming to an end. But as long as they keep it above that zero line, they can keep pushing. And remember, the NQ is a lot of work to get through that 45-degree angle. It's not going to be easy. But if it does, full steam ahead. All eyes on the tick. Will the buyers step in? Tapering, good volume for a short. Yeah, up at the high, good taper. Okay taper, actually. NQ's got good taper, though. Ooh, the NQ is selling off. So they're back down in that last support from this morning. That starts to break. They're looking to go lower. Mike, you're going to have to decipher your messages here. We're all so confused. You've been doing it the last few days, and we have no idea what any of it means. 0 fees announced on 10/1/19. Some 2-year, 1 month. 2/6 B days on 11/16. FWIW like 126, 216, etc. Sure, brother. Absolutely. Makes perfect sense. All right. So at the moment, this little red node is acting as resistance. It was support for a second. Now it's acting as resistance. So to remain bullish, we want to get back above that. Kevin, do I ever care about RSI or MACD? Not anymore. I used to watch them. I think they're great. I have no problem with those two. I just don't include them in my analysis anymore. And for what it's worth, I find they're more reliable on like the 4-hour daily than they are on the shorter term time frames. But I can get the same sort of buyer exhaustion signals from the ticks. When they start to get above the 0 line or below the, above the 1,000 line or below the negative 1,000 line, it's basically the same thing as the RSI being overbought or oversold. Okay, this node is still acting as resistance. They're trying to get above it, but they're having a hard time. Nope. Buyers have run out, looking for a pullback. Okay, so leaving these single prints behind in the B period increases the odds the market will need to pull back down and backfill those single prints. But we can look for support right at the base, so right at that A period high. And if the C period can get above the B period, we just watch for one time framing. Does that C period low stay above the B period low? When we print the D, does it stay above the C? And so on and so forth for continuation higher. But if the base of this these single prints does not hold as support on a pullback, we'll be looking for it to pull back down into the support from this morning around 46.14. Okay. To me, it feels like the ES wants to go higher, but the NQ is like a weight kind of holding it down because the NQ's got a lot of resistance to work through. So good luck to all the traders out there. I wish you happy trading and lots of profits today. And I will see you here tomorrow morning. If you're a member of the Brigade, head on over to the private stream, and I'll see you there in a moment. And if you're not a member of the Brigade, it's never too late to join. There's a link in the description. It just costs $10 for a month, and you get to hang out all day. Thank you very much, and we'll see you here tomorrow morning.